blindsided breakups are because the person doesn't like you at your core. Either you can't change or I don't want you to change because I actually don't want to be in a relationship with you anyways. If one person realizes that like this is the relationship that they don't want to be in, then like let them go, like let them leave. I don't want to be in a relationship if they don't like me. Like, you think I'm gonna be out here begging for a man? Girl's in a crazy funky mood today because I kind of didn't. Okay, you know those nights where you can't really fall asleep? That was last night, and then I got up at 5:45 for my 6:30 a.m. run, and then I think because I didn't sleep, the run was really hard. Me and Allie just ended up walking and chit-chatting, so that was fine. We are chit-chatting about getting blindsided in a breakup. Fun fact, and this fact is fun because I learned it from TikTok. Apparently the most relationship breakups happen in the summertime. You know why that is? Because it's hot and people are grumpy, and that's when the most fighting and breakups happen. Also, another fun fact, if you guys have not seen the stand-up show Jigsaw, y'all should watch it. It's like one of the most genius stand-up sets I've ever seen about relationships and trying to force the other person to fit, which I feel like is very common. It's very normal and easy to get into a scarcity mindset around like dating and love, right? Like, it feels like we have control over our careers, we have control over the relationships with our friends and family and whatnot, but the one area in which like people feel out of control is in their relationships, right? Because a lot of times, like, yeah, you can do your part, you can go on dates, you can go on the dating apps, you can ask your friends to get set up, but where the real magic happens is when the chemistry between two people actually works, and what are the odds of that working, right? And so it leads to these feelings of like, oh, I don't actually know like if things are gonna work out, and I don't actually have control over whether or not things work out, because sometimes two people are meant to be, but how can you like tell the difference between if relationships are hard and it's worth fighting for, or if it's too hard and relationships shouldn't be that hard, right? I talked about this with Diane and Julie in our breakup series. You guys can check that out. That was like a while ago that we've talked about this, but one thing we've never chit-chatted about is getting blindsided in a breakup. When you are the person getting blindsided in a relationship, I'm sure a million things go through your head, right? Like, like, why didn't my partner communicate with me? Like, we could have worked on things and fixed things. Like, like, doesn't my partner like want to fight for us? Like, fight for our relationship? Like, if we had just communicated, if he had just communicated, if she had just communicated, we could be together. And like, doesn't my partner see that? But I think there is like, let's get a little reality check on. They didn't do that. And so as much as it sucks, like, I think that the most like gracious thing you could do for yourself and your own soul when you get blindsided in a breakup is to accept it. Like, honestly, shame on dude for not being communicative about their feelings, because at your big age, you're not being communicative about your feelings. Dude, people are out here literally being like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship, like, I just want to mess around and like, that's it. Dude, I respect that so much more than, oh, you know, like, if I'm open to something, like, and it's the right person, then, like, obviously, dude, that's a load of bull. Like, literally, oh, yeah, of course, you're only going to get into a relationship with the right person. Like, no shit. No shit. I have so much more respect for people who are very upfront about their feelings, right? Like, yeah, the lines we're reading between them, the in between literally is, if I like someone else more than I've ever liked anyone, and this person is my soulmate and I think I will never be able to live without them, then I am obviously going to get into a relationship with them and won't just keep them as casual. No duh, dude. And so why are you reading me the in-between lines and missing the main points? Why? Because you think that, like, girls just tap out? Well, yeah, if they're not looking for the same thing as you, like, tap out. Because are you out here trying to trick girls into, like, hanging out with you? But, like, you know that they want commitment and you're just gonna act like you do until you don't? It's insane. So, at your big age, if you can't communicate to me the things that I need to work on in order to make this relationship work, or if there are things that you are unhappy with and maybe it's a complete misunderstanding, let's communicate about it. Because no matter what, the next relationship, the next thing, the next casual thing, whatever it might be, you're gonna have to communicate about your feelings. And so in my head, I'm just like, you could use me as practice. Like, right? A lot of dating is, like, obviously, like, building your palette and getting to know, like, what you want and what you don't want in a partner. And, like, you have to date in order to know all that. But then, dude, at the same time, it's like, I'm gonna use you as practice. Like, I can usually tell within the first, like, 4 seconds whether or not, like, me and a person are gonna vibe, like, in a long-term sense. And if I am like, oh, like, absolutely not, we're not vibing, then, like, maybe I'll just use you as practice to be communicative, right? And, like, I don't think that's mean, right? Like, because my mindset going into dates isn't like, oh, I'm gonna use you as practice. But it's more so like, once I get there and I realize that you are not my person, okay, practice round, ding ding ding, you know? And so, I don't know, personally, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who can't communicate their feelings, because there are much harder things you are going to have to communicate about in a relationship. And so if they can't, at the very least, tell you where they're at in terms of, like, the feelings of their relationship, then, like, I don't know, I don't want to be around that energy. Like, I love a check-in. When my partner is like, let's do a check-in, I literally look at them and I'm like, that's so hot. You want to do an emotional check-in with me regarding our relationship? That's so sweet. Like, I love that so much. And so, yeah, it's great when the check-in is like, oh, you're perfect, 10 out of 10, A+. We did good about this thing. We did good about communicating. And of course, it's a little harder when you have to be like, oh, I wasn't so happy on this day, or this thing that you did or did not do is kind of bothering me. Like, of course that is tough and that is hard, and I completely acknowledge it. But what other person than, like, the person you're supposed to be, like, maybe arguably the closest to communicate with, right? Like, I think that I used to have this sense of, like, oh, I don't feel safe to communicate, because once I communicate, like, it's almost like I get in trouble, right? Like, I think when I was younger, I'm sure, like, I tried to, like, communicate my feelings, and then it was, like, you know, my grandpa being like, don't cry. I don't know. I'm making that up. But, like, right, an example. And so it makes it so that, like, it's become harder to, like, communicate my feelings. But I'm realizing that, like, if you are in a relationship with the right person, with a safe person, with a person you feel safe with, then it is easy to communicate, almost too easy to communicate, right? Because, like, maybe you think something's funny and you say too much, and, you know, all of that, and, like, somebody's feelings get hurt, and, like, that is a normal course of action for a relationship in which you're comfortable, where you, like, you know, will cross a line here and there, but, like, that's when you, like, learn to adjust. And so your partner should be someone that you can communicate with. You shouldn't feel like you're getting in trouble for communicating. And so I think that, you know, also ask yourself, like, oh, do you think your partner felt safe to communicate with you? Do you think that you are creating a safe environment? And vice versa. Do you feel safe to communicate with them? And do you feel like they are giving an effort, a valiant effort, in making sure that they are being communicative with you? and making sure that you feel safe and like you can get vulnerable, right? Because I'm not trying to be in no surface level relationship. We're getting deep in here. What's your deepest, darkest secret and trauma? Tell me right now. Just kidding. I wouldn't do it like that. I would tell them my trauma first, and then they'll open up about theirs. Hee. You guys know that that's a joke of mine. And so, yeah, I think when you get blindsided in a breakup, right? Go through the normal breakup phases. Like, be devastated, because it is devastating to realize that like your partner wasn't feeling the same as like you were, right? Like, it is devastating to realize that you were wrong, and like honestly, like it can feel humiliating to the people around that you know have like been looking at your relationship, right? Like, it's so normal to post on social media, and it's like, oh, I have to deal with all that. Like, not only do I have to deal with my own emotions, but I also have to deal with like the public perception of my relationship. Like, what kind of messed up age are we in where like we have to deal with that? I saw on TikTok that what's getting popular is hard watching your man on your wedding day, like what Issa Rae did. And then all the women in the comments are like, oh, like we've been doing this for years, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? It does take away the whole, oh, I gotta clean out my Instagram. Like, oh, should I archive or should I delete? Oh, I have to unshare my location with my partner and it's gonna send them that text notification. Like, oh, we have a shared calendar. Oh, we have a shared iCloud album. Oh my gosh, there's so much like logistical cleanup to be done. And thank goodness for iCloud's like facial recognition technology. Yeah, steal my data so that in one click I can delete all the photos of my ex. You know how you search for people and then you name them and then you go delete? Easy peasy. And so, right, go through all the steps, like do all the cleanses. Honestly, my recommendation is like while you're kind of like delulu, emotional distressed, like all of that, you do all the things, because dude, having to unshare location after like a month of being broken up is like insane. That top 10 worst things to ever happen in the history of human existence. Top 10. That's insane. And so do all that, get that out of the way, girl. Like, I don't know, I'm not about like, I'm a procrastinator, don't procrastinate any of that stuff. It's too hard later. And then, right, go through all the mourning and like journal it out, however you outlet. Talk to your friends, make sure that you are surrounding yourself with a good community. And it's gonna be really hard because like, right, they say that we only have space in our lives for like 5 people, right? Like 5 close people, and a relationship takes up 2 of those spots. And so when a relationship goes away, when you guys get broken up with, when you guys go through breakups, 2 of those spots like need to be filled, honestly. And then like, dude, add some on to that, because the emotional stuff and the years of dating and like, oh, seeing a future, like, dude, that's like 5 more spots. And so know that you're gonna have a lot of extra time, and know yourself. Don't keep yourself too busy. Like, a part of this whole like breakup experience is mourning the relationship. Like, I think a lot of people just try to get better. Like, I have Virgo friends who are like, I'm gonna get better in 2 months. Girl, from a 2-year relationship, oh, I'm gonna give myself 6 months. Girl, you've been with this man for 9 years. There is no timeline on healing. And so don't give yourself a timeline. I know that, like, you know, I'm feeling my age sometimes, and we're getting older, and there's pressure from our friends and family to like get married and shit, but take your time. Do you want to be stuck with somebody who is wrong for you for the rest of your life? Do you want to be stuck and not get over this breakup for years? How you do that is by avoiding your emotions, right? Because whatever you suppress, what is that saying? Whatever you resist persists. And so it's like when you suppress all the feelings and emotions down, it has nowhere to go. Yeah, you can do that for a while. Like, I've seen people do that for a couple years, but at a certain point, it's just, you have to mourn it. You have to, like, let it out. And, like, it is hard to deal with our feelings. It makes us feel, like, out of control, but I think the nicest thing you can do for yourself is just let yourself feel everything. And then after that, work on rebuilding. And you know yourself best. Everyone has their own, like, method in terms of, like, healing and going about that stuff. I have a friend who went through a really, really bad breakup, and they actually recommended a book. It's called How to Fix a Broken Heart by Guy Winch. And so if you like to go out and study how to fix a broken heart, like, I'm very, like, I love getting into the science of things and why things hurt so much. I would totally do that. I also love Breakup Boot Camp, the first episode, with Amy Chan on Girls Gotta Eat. That is, like, that is a life-changing episode, right? Like, go out and find resources. Like, dude, if I'm looking up, like, how to fix my AC filter in my car, and, like, I can learn how to do that and do that, then, like, people have research on this. People have experience with this. And so go out and, like, learn from people and, like, see what they've done to, you know, get over a heartbreaking breakup. And so, yeah, figure out what's best for you. And then, right, like, let's flip it to the other perspective of the person who is doing the blindsiding. I'm sure they don't mean to blindside you. I think that I have an inherent belief that people are good and people are dumb a little bit. And so a lot of times people don't know what they're doing, and they're not, like, thinking about what they're doing and how it affects you, right? Like, in my last relationship, I was the person who blindsided my partner in a breakup, and I realized afterwards that I did that. And it kind of sucks to realize afterwards that you did that, because it's, like, sad, right? Like, you love this person, but maybe you just, like, can't be with them. And it feels unfair to, like, ask that person to change, right? Like, I think that's where I kind of have a hard time, is, like, I don't know whether I should, like, be communicative about, you know, something that I don't like. Like, let's say it's someone who's always being late. I think that is, like, small enough to be able to communicate about, and, like, it doesn't affect their, like, actual character, that, like, you can be communicative about that, it can get fixed, and you can move on. Whereas if the thing that bugs you is, like, something very fundamental to that person, like, if someone didn't like the podcast, or that, like, I have any sort of, like, you know, platform, or if somebody didn't like that I was Christian, I don't think it's obviously not fair of them to, like, try to change that. Like, yeah, I guess they could try to, like, I don't know if they would, like, manipulate me into not doing this anymore, but you know what I mean? Like, that is unfair to, like, ask that person to change fundamentally who they are, right? And, like, personally, like, that's not what I wanted to do, right? I felt like the thing that I did not really jive with in the last relationship was a big thing. It was a big personality thing. And so honestly, that's the reason why I didn't communicate it until the breakup. And even during the breakup, like, dude, I looked up so many Reddit posts about, like, how to, like, be good about breaking up with someone, like, how to break up with someone in the right way. And, like, as silly as it sounds, I think I did a good job breaking up, because I tried to be very kind about it, right? Where I took the necessary steps, made sure not to give them hope, because I think that's the meanest thing you could do. If you're breaking up with someone, just break up with them. Like, I don't know. I always hear about people who, like, will try to break up with their partner, and then, like, they kind of chicken out. But that's so mean to, like, not be candid about your feelings and to just kind of like go back on your word. And so, right, like from the perspective of someone who has done the breaking up, I am like, okay, yeah, I kind of did the blindsided breakup and it sucks, but I think it tells you a lot about the compatibility between you two. Like, it makes you realize, like, maybe you aren't as close, or maybe you weren't being as direct as you needed to be in the relationship in order for the relationship to be successful, right? Like, obviously from that breakup, like 5 years ago or whatever, I have learned a lot, and I am realizing that, like, I want to choose my partners based off of their core qualities, and so it makes it so that I kind of like know who I'm in a relationship with, right? Like, of course, I will learn more about my partner every day, every year, and as they change and grow, like, there'll probably be different versions of people that I'll need to like learn to love. But for the most part, I know exactly who I am like in a relationship with, and so I want to make it so that like we align on all those core value things. Like, right, we've mentioned him multiple times before, fried provolone. That is the number one lesson he taught me, was let's get to know each other on like a core values basis first. Like, almost go deepest layer, like freaking, like, don't start at the crust and the mantle, like go to the core and then work your way up, right? Because if we make sure that we're aligned in our core values first and then work our way up, it makes so much more sense, right? Like, we can spare each other the emotions, we can spare each other the memories and the feelings and the experiences and the money and the time and the energy if we just make sure that we're aligned in the first place, right? And so I personally think that blindsided breakups are because the person doesn't like you at your core. Okay, no, maybe I can't like say that fairly, but I think that there is this sense of like, oh, either you can't change or I don't want you to change because I actually don't want to be in a relationship with you anyways, when it comes to blindsided breakups. And that's like really harsh of me, I will say, because, right, to think that somebody cannot change is kind of a stagnant mindset, and y'all know I'm all about growth mindset, but like, come on, like, let's be a little realistic here. People are them for, right, if you are around my age, like 20 something years, and you can't expect change in a year or even 2 or 3 or 4, right? Because they have like built up who they are up until this point, and who says that they even like want to change? And right, like, I think people show you exactly who they are. I think people, as much as they want to be like a reformed human being, like, I believe in a reformation. I totally believe in a complete 180 change. But at the same time, I do think people are them at the end of the day. And like, you have to respect that. Like, you have to know who you're getting into the relationship with. And then, right, point 2, I don't want you to change because I actually don't want to be in a relationship with you anyways. Now, that is, that's a little meanie. Or is that mean, or is that just like a fact, right? Because if one person realizes that like this is the relationship that they don't want to be in, then like, let them go. Like, let them leave, right? Like, obviously, I am a fan of fighting for relationships when it is right, and like, there has to be a little bit of like struggle and like hardship in relationships, because as you overcome those, your relationship deepens and gets better, and you know, all the jazz. But I think, right, it's that whole thing of like, what's too hard? Or like, I don't want to be in a relationship if they don't like me. Like, you think I'm going to be out here begging for a man? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You think I am going to be on my hands and knees being like, I'll do anything to stay in a relationship with you. Like, I will compromise my own values to stay in a relationship with you? Absolutely not. That is not me. Stand up, ladies, because y'all are gonna hang out with people who don't want to hang out with you. Y'all are gonna be in relationships with people who don't like you. Insane. And I get it, right? Like, it's hard when we see people around us who accept love that we don't think that they deserve, but at the end of the day, it is their decision, and I guess we have to honor that. But like, I don't know, I love myself too much to like put down all my dignity and pride, right? Like, I have some self-respect and I view myself in a very high light, right? I love myself very much. I am perfect and beautiful and amazing and sweet and gracious. And then sometimes when I'm PMSing, like yesterday, I'm a little mini butt. Okay, that's it for today. I will see you next week. Bye. Love you. I hope your heart is not broken. Happy healing.